This might sound crazy, but I just believed in myself that, hey girl, worst case scenario, you'll just go back to corporate.
That sounds so fun. I would love to do that. Just kidding. I love my job.
Either you are crazy or nerdy or super passionate.
Or delusional. That is the word I've heard a lot. Delulu.
If you are only focusing that the design is going to help you on the top shiny part, then you're thinking wrong.
Chung marker.
Think about the last time you fell in love with a product. It solved a problem, felt intuitive, and made your life easier. That kind of connection doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of thoughtful, intentional design. And Sally Chung has built her career around that idea. She's the founder of Designpreneurs Co. and teaches at Parsons School of Design, where she helps entrepreneurs turn creative ideas into products people actually love. In this conversation, she shares how design can help you reduce risk, stay innovative, and keep your business adapting in a world that's always changing. Sally, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you for having me.
So you've built a career out of the intersection of business, education, and design. What first drew you into the world of helping entrepreneurs have an idea and take it all the way to building a product that people actually love?
So it didn't really start as I wanted to help founders. I wanted to help my design students to collaborate by learning from the founders about the business strategy and get an exposure to what is the business side as a product designer. And then slowly, I learned that over the past years that it's actually more helpful for the founders by learning about the design thinking, implementing into their business.
I love that. I'm curious to know what made you decide to do this.
So my dad is also a small business owner.
Okay.
And he just retired this year, January 1st. Congrats to him.
Congrats to
Mr. Chung.
Mr. Chung.
So he owned a fabric import and export business. So
Okay.
he was in New York, and it just happened to be he took a photo in front of Parsons. And at that time, I think I was living in Seoul, and he shared, hey, I went to New York and I went to this amazing fashion school called Parsons. Maybe you might be interested, because I was always interested in fashion. So then that little photo gave me this vision of, okay, I want to go there. And
Shut up. Full circle that. Wow, I got goosebumps. That's so beautiful that you did get there.
yes, and now I'm teaching there, which is a dream comes true. And my first job out of college was at Saks Fifth Avenue. I was one of the founding designers where we did everything from mobile to web design to social media design to art direction, working in these like photo shoots, working with the models. And sometimes I would go,
That sounds so fun.
thank you. And sometimes I would also go interview the backstage of the fashion show.
That sounds so fun. I would love to do that. Just kidding. I love my job.
Yeah, so that was my first job, and I realized, wow, this is really cool. I love wearing multiple hats. Then fast forward, after 4 years, it felt a little empty. And I wanted something that I have more authority. So I started to network with a couple of the startup industry people. Then one of my friends introduced me to her friend who was at Stanford Business School. Then we came up with this idea, which is called Hello Ava, which was an AI beauty chatbot back in 2016. So I quit my job from New York City, flew to Stanford Business School's campus, and I lived there for a couple months with my friend, and that was my first startup founder experience.
That was a big, bold leap. What made you confident enough to do that?
This might sound crazy, but I just believed in myself that, hey girl, worst case scenario, you'll just go back to corporate.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
And this is going to be a life experience. And if not now, then when?
I love that you've had the firsthand experience in all of the aspects of what you've built your career on. as I said, in the intersection of business education and design. What you mentioned, the reason you took that leap is really important for next generations to also think about, right? If not now, when? And you actually have talked about finding opportunities in the ambiguity, which I think is a great example of what you're telling us right now in your experience. What do you think this looks like for small business owners?
Navigating that ambiguity and finding the opportunity is key to success. The biggest thing is, I think it's like the mentality of it's okay to fail. And it's reframing the failure. It's not about the failure. It's about learning experience. And that's 6 months to 2 years of your life. Who cares? You're probably gonna live up to 80 or 120 years old, and
It'll be bada boom.
right? Like, who cares?
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about what design thinking is.
Whoever has an idea and wants to make a real product and launch it into the market, use design thinking. A lot of times, founders think that design is something that's beautiful. And I want to give an iceberg analogy. The top of the sea level, the iceberg, that's what people think that design is, which beautiful, the branded, the colorful. However, the core design and the real design is actually the strategic part just below the water, where that sturdy foundation, where you start with the users and it's the backbone of your product and your company strategy. So design thinking is essentially 6 steps. So first, empathize with the user. Second, identify the problem. Third, ideate on the solutions. Fourth, prototyping the solution. And then fifth, testing with the real market and users. And then iteration as a last step. And then going all the way back to empathizing with the user. So that is like the foundation for design thinking. And how you implement that design thinking into the product or startups is quite similar to the lean startup methodology by Scott Galloway from the NYU Stern MBA school. Is that it's quite similar. The startup methodology is all about let's learn and fail fast and then implement that learnings again. And it's a whole iterative circle. And it's basically very, very similar, but we are now more focusing on the user psychology and behavior and double clicking on the product and like the digital behaviors.
Design can feel intangible, and you tell me if you agree with this or not, but I feel like whenever design comes into the conversation with investors or just business leaders, it can feel intangible.
I asked this question to early stage founders and Fortune 1000 company leaders. Same thing. What is costing you right now that you're not fixing? And when we think about design, like some business leaders, they don't understand that design is not just the feel and then the look, but it's actually how it works. So if design can help you to achieve product market fit and be competitive in the market and up your revenue, then why not? And I've seen that the businesses that treats design as an afterthought, they oftentimes compete for cheap prices, then they end up becoming the cheapest option in the market. However, those who are leveraging design as their strategic engine, then they become the leader in the market. So my question to you is, which one do you want to be?
I know my answer, hoping everyone's is the same. What does that actually mean? And how should founders think about it when starting their business?
In the startup world, we talk about desirability, viability, and feasibility. So desirability is, would there be users desiring your product? Feasibility is, can we build this idea? Viability is, can we make money? So when the desirability and viability and feasibility meets in the intersection, that's where the true innovation of sweet spot happens.
Okay.
For early stage founders is that first you are unlocking that desirability. So are you first thinking about the user's behaviors, frustrations, and their psychological, like, let's say like shopping behaviors and their day-to-day life that you can help and validate that your idea is needed for them. So that is being true human-centered for your idea and product or your startup business.
Some founders would argue that if they find the need, others will too. without doing market research. Like they just are convinced, I need it, so someone else must too. What would you just say to them?
That happens a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Because they are driven by that feasibility and viability mindset, they often forget about that. How do we talk to the users and validate this data that will convert into real business impact? According to CB Insights, why startups or companies fail is because they create products that market is not needed, which is crazy for me as a product designer and UX designer, because we start from, again, like that design thinking methodology, starting from empathizing with the users of what are their frustrations and pain points that we can help with our features and products. So I would like to ask the founders in reverse. It's not about design, but it's about the users. Are they going to pay for your service and product, and have you validated that, rather than is your idea good or bad? Because your idea might be great, sure, but you need to validate your data that will bring you that ROI and conversion rate.
Founders are oftentimes asked to move incredibly fast. How do you think that design thinking can help an entrepreneur de-risk a product launch?
First, empathizing with the users and validating their needs and frustrations. Then the founders are going to have a high confidence that their startup direction or product direction is on the right path. The second path is now they're going into the double, the next level of user testing is that through design thinking, again, empathize with the users, identify the problems, ideating on the solutions, and prototyping and then testing. So throughout these iterative cycles, the founders are going to learn, okay, the concept is on the right path. Then next, let's prototype this product and let's test these features. And then before spending millions of dollars or even $5,000 on these ideas, you don't have to hire engineers. You can now prototype with these, especially with AI design tools, prototype it and then test with the users and then validate, okay, these are the features that we should hire the engineers to build it because there's a high demand. Then it's an iterative circle for the next, actually, it should be iterative circle forever for the startup founders.
Let's think about this from a small business perspective. Someone that doesn't have a huge budget for user testing, or they don't have, their product isn't out yet, so they don't have customers, but they do want to do the validation. What are different ways that you can do user testing before your product launches?
You don't need a budget. Just do the test by yourself. So for me, for my first startup, obviously we did not have budget. And we were not paying ourselves. So then we would go to Sephora, and for weeks we would just observe people shopping and eavesdrop and talk to the sales associates and talk to the users there. Hey, like, why did you not buy this product? Hey, why did you buy this product? That's user testing. And according to the UX testing methodology, that's called the qualitative research, where you are learning about the user's behaviors by observing their behaviors, and also talking to them is called the user interviews. So do you need a budget? No, all you need is time, and spend 1 or 2 hours a day and talk to the real users. And you can start from there.
And part of that user testing, I think what you're describing also has a lot to do with how you approach people and are able to talk about your product, talk about what you're trying to do. Why do you think that storytelling is so important to brand design?
A good storytelling for your brand is building a relationship between your product, your service, and the real users. And without story, your brand is an empty shell. And when you look at Airbnb, Nike, Apple, they don't sell features or services or product. They actually sell a story. And you buy into that, oh, you want to be the part of the achievement, the community, or whatever aspects that they are telling the story. So people buy the story. People don't buy the product. So there's a very famous case study about the $300 million button. Do you know about this?
I do not. How dare I?
Amongst our nerdy UX designers, this is our Bible. people were not checking out. And there was a huge drop of rate at the checkout page. So then the UX designers and the researchers gathered together and they did a rigorous A/B testings and user testings. And they found out that people were not checking out because they did not want to sign up to be a customer.
Oh.
So then they implemented a couple of buttons, like call to action buttons. And then one button called continue as guest was a winner. So then that generated $300 million additional dollars of revenue. And this is the power of design where it impacts the business.
Oh, I love how you clap. You're like, yay. But you're right. The design, the UX makes it so effortless.
And that is the power of design. Design is not about how it looks, it's the mechanics behind it. When people think about good design, it should be intuitive. You're not thinking, just shop, 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 and get those deliveries every day, right? And it encourages you to shop. So that is a good design. And good design is good business.
For founders without a design background, where do you think they should start?
I think a lot of founders are feeling paralyzed by this, that either you have to be a good designer overnight or you have to have a massive budget for hiring designers. It's neither of them. It really starts with understanding about your product and your business, where you are, what are you lacking, and where do you need help with. Second is being brutally honest about the customer's journey. And this is something we call it in the UX methodology called the service journey mapping. So let's say you are a company and then this is your path as your company's user journey path. And then this is your customer's journey, which is map out the user's journey. And then maybe if you have a third party that's handling your shipping or whatever it is, then map out every single one of those core users that is having a touch point with your company and identify what is missing, what is the missing business opportunities, and where are the frustrations and pain points for the users. Then do a complete honest audit of, okay, so this is where are the holes and how can I fill in those holes? Then hire or bring in a thought partner who is coming from strategic design mindset, those who are coming from branding or motion graphics background, but those are going to be coming from user experience or product design or user research background. Then by bringing in them into your company, they're going to be driving your company and product vision together to fill that gap. Then you can hire the designers to crank out those screens and do beautiful things for you.
Oh, wow. Sally, thank you so much for everything you've taught us today and for being on This is Small Business. It was great to have you.
Thank you so much.
That's it for this episode of This is Small Business, brought to you by Amazon. If you're into stories about what it's really like to build a brand, grow online, and keep up with everything entrepreneurship throws your way, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode. I'd also love to hear from you, so drop a comment and tell us your biggest takeaway or what part of this conversation inspired you the most. Until next time, hasta luego, and thanks for watching.